Hey guys, I'm Kate. Welcome back to my channel, and today I want to talk about ethics and authortube, or ethics on authortube. I'm sure if you watch authortube videos or you're like semi part of the community, you'll have heard about the whole hashtag arcsarefree thing, but I think that is a very small part of a broader conversation that has been started, but I feel like still needs to be talked about. And I debated making a video at all about this, but each time I decided I wasn't gonna do it. It actually bothered me more to think that, so I don't know that this is ever gonna go out there, but this is what I'm talking about today. So I'm gonna read you a comment I left on Haley Bascomb's video, and if you don't wanna watch me read my own comment out loud, you can go ahead and skip to, I'll put the time over my face. I'll put the time that you can skip to, but I'm basically gonna break down my comment because I felt like that was a semi-comprehensive version of my thoughts on this, but I do want to make some other points about calling people out and or like... The problem with making a video like this is that I feel like it focuses on a very negative aspect of things, and by and large my experience on authortube has been overwhelmingly positive. Part of the reason for that is who I choose to watch, and we'll get to that. As it turned out, because of this, I've also found a lot of people that I'd never heard of before. I didn't realize how big the authortube community was, which has been both cool and, you know, surprising, I guess. I don't know. Let me go find my comment. So Haley Bascomb made a really great video called Concerns on Authortube and Ways to Improve Writing Skill. I think everyone should watch that video. I think Haley does an amazing job at articulating a lot of things. I think she gives a lot of wonderful free resources that can help you with your writing that I think are... We'll get to my opinion about that. Okay, Haley's video is fantastic, and I think it helped to spark a lot of this conversation. Now, there was those authortube tea videos, I think, was it a year ago? Half a year ago or so, and I think some people had more information than other people did at the time. I remember not fully understanding what some of the people were saying in their videos, but like the parts I did understand, I did agree with for the most part. Again, that might go back into who you're watching and who you know. Whatever. So Haley's video, I left a comment. I'm gonna read it to you now. And it goes, "Arcs are free, they're free. I felt all your frustration in that statement. Super long comment incoming, I'm so sorry. Welcome to my comments." Yes, I love that you say you don't need to spend any money to improve your writing. Read a lot, write a lot, and you're golden. I can appreciate when people do want to spend something on an intensive online marketing course, a creative writing MFA, a professional editor, or whatever. That's totally fine. And I hope they do thorough research on the course, program, freelancer to note that they're legit. What's not fine is when people use their platforms to purposely manipulate others into thinking that they're an expert in a subject matter when they're not. Expertise is subjective itself, but the ways I've seen authortubers or podcast hosts or whatever lie to their audiences or even take a fake it till you make it approach, so like you said, lying by omission, is harmful to everyone. I tried to touch on this vaguely in my money in writing video because I'd seen a lot of people selling their advice, but something felt off. And then I learned they totally didn't have the numbers to back that up, and it is infuriating. I now appreciate those authortube tea videos from however many months back more because I have a better understanding of the stuff they were referring to, and I'm still being shown things I didn't know existed. I just learned that Kristen Martin sells a nano course for like $200, and I could scream at the inappropriate marketing off the back of a nonprofit. Also, I'm so glad you mentioned authortube building an inflated sense of credibility. I get so many comments asking me questions about how to publish, how to sell books, how to market yourself, how to write X or Y or Z, and all sorts of other things that I try to make it clear in as many videos as possible that I am not an expert, that I don't know what I'm doing, and that I don't like giving advice because I don't feel qualified. I get uncomfortable thinking some people might look to me as having any extra knowledge or qualifications just because I'm putting videos out onto the internet. And I get even more uncomfortable thinking about all those authortubers who are taking advantage of those people. Finally, I love that you went through so many amazing free resources for others to check out, as well as other options for different spending levels at the beginning of this video. So I've talked to a lot of my authortube friends about this for a while. I feel like this has all been sort of brewing. And I think the focus on arcsarefree, I think it's good that that is in general being called out. I think it's an example of a broader conversation, like I said before. mostly touching on the fact that, like Haley mentioned in her video, that authortube and this kind of dynamic brings up a feeling of like authority on a subject, even when that person doesn't have any credible authority on the subject. And I think because it feels very face-to-face for the viewers, I think people believe more strongly what someone is saying. Now, if that same advice was written in an article, most people would then go look up what the credentials were of the people in the article, but because you've seen 9 or 10 videos and someone seems knowledgeable about something and now they're giving you advice on something, it's like you don't necessarily always go through those steps. I've seen people that I actually really like, most of their other content, giving advice that from my own personal point of view, they don't have the credibility to be giving. And I think there's a lack of transparency on what their credentials are, and I think that is purposeful at worst and a kind of fake it till you make it attitude at best. I don't like the naming of names, and I did do that in the comment because I love NaNoWriMo. I've loved NaNoWriMo for years, and I am very upset that someone would market a course using the NaNoWriMo name and then sell that for money and not even like donate it, as far as I can tell. So I'm frustrated with that. I do think that people should do their own research. I somewhat wish I hadn't called the person out by name, but also I stand by the statement. I think in general, the calling out of names can turn very bullying. What starts as a very warranted call out can quickly turn into bullying online. I feel like, yeah, even warranted call-outs can turn that way, and I think that's the scary part of ever naming names. And I think that, like I said, there's people that I've watched the videos of that I wish they didn't make that kind of video, because otherwise I really like them, but I have a hard time endorsing their videos or them because of this very small subsection of stuff. But I'm not going to throw out that whole person in my eyes because they do that. It could be coming from a genuine place. It could be coming from a place that's not intended to be as scammy as it appears to me. But those, by and large, aren't authortubers that I watch. I mostly watch other people who do writing vlogs and are talking about their journey towards publication, whether that's traditional or indie. I'm not usually looking for advice on authortube. I do have certain people that I think of as very credible sources. If I mention a person in a video, it's usually because I appreciate what they have to say, whether that's journey specific or actual advice specific. But there are so many free resources you can use to find free information, and it's unfortunate that there are people who are out there to scam other writers or other people who turn to authortube, but such is life. And I worried about making this video because I don't want it to seem like I actually don't think that's a big portion of the population. It's certainly not anyone that I watch, and that's the other problem with like calling out names or naming names, is that I think as a general rule it's much easier to say watch out for people giving advice that don't have the credentials than it is to find every person who's ever done that or ever will do that. And I'm not personally in the business of calling people out every single time. And I think that comes back to the ethics thing, because again, I think there are people who I enjoy their other content but can't watch certain specific types of advice they give because I personally think what they're doing is unethical. Now, that person might not think what they're doing is unethical. I think that fake it till you make it sort of category falls under this. I think in general, ways to know if someone is worthwhile in taking advice, besides the free resources that Haley listed, like you wouldn't take advice from someone on how to start a YouTube channel if they've only posted 3 videos. Don't take advice from people on how to sell books if they've only sold 3 copies of their books. Don't take advice from people who won't tell you their numbers. or are lacking in transparency, because there are so many resources out there that are transparent, that will tell you the numbers, that will tell you their money that they're making. That was part of what I was trying to get at the money and writing video, was that I learned some new ways that I could confirm how much someone is making and not just like my intuition on things. And it made me mad when I saw some other tubers talking about stuff and I felt like they didn't have the right to be talking like they were in their videos, because I didn't think they had as much authority on the topic as they were pretending to command. Man, I poured some champagne. I feel like I should have drank more of it before I started this video. I don't know how I'm gonna edit this back together. I just wanna say, be careful about the resources you're using, and that goes for authortube. It goes for podcasts you're listening to, it goes for articles that you read online, it goes for every piece of information that you find on something. Double check, make sure that person is credible and legit, and be wary of the fact that this dynamic can provide an inflated sense of authority on a topic. There are a bunch of other reasons to join authortube, or to watch authortube, or to be a part of the authortube community, than getting advice. Do still join. Don't be scared to join. 99% of the people I watch on here, 99% of the people that I talk to on here don't fall into this category of people I think are scamming, or even unwittingly scamming people. Like, again, 99% of my experience on here has been incredible, and if I can say that for anything, that is such a win in my book. I don't want this to be like a humdrum authortube's moving in a terrible direction, because to be honest, I don't think so. Actually, I feel like the more people who have joined, and again, maybe this is my ignorance talking again, because I don't follow people who talk this. I didn't know half this stuff because I don't follow certain people, just because I personally felt like I was being sold something, and I don't like when I'm being sold something. That's not why I watch authortube. I watch it because I want to talk with other writers and meet other writer friends and see that I'm not alone in all the ups and downs of the writing journey. And if that's what you're here for, you're gonna have a good time. There's a bunch of people you can follow who are here for the same thing. And hopefully, you know, 1% of the bad people, of the people who are doing bad things. I won't even say bad people, because I don't think that's what they are. By and large, I think it's just they're doing things that aren't the most ethical, and that's my opinion on what is and isn't ethical, so you can take that how you will. Where am I going with this? Anyways, I think authortube's great, and I don't want to be associated with people that are trying to scam or sell people, so I'm upset to see that authortube is kind of being run through the mud, but also, like, what community hasn't had their own piece of drama? I have watched booktube for years, and I've seen the booktube name run through mud. We've seen YouTube run through mud because of certain creators, but that, I've never felt like that was me, and I'm certainly creating content for YouTube, so don't take however many people, a handful of people, and cast an opinion on everyone else. And also just do your research. I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah. Thanks so much for watching. Actually, I think my question for y'all is to tell me who your favorite authortuber is, with a focus on just the writing process. That's what I enjoy most, and I would love to find more people who are doing that, because that's my favorite kind of content, and I clearly have been missing a huge subsection of authortube. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon with a new video. Bye. I really don't know how to talk about this, and I'm uncomfortable. And I think this is all I ever wanted. I don't know what I'm gonna say.